guys, welcome to another episode of Think Out Cloud, your favorite cloud-based talk show about cloud computing. I'm Niño.
And I'm Ace. And thank you for chiming in. We have a very special guest right now. And she's the head of sales for the Philippines for NexusGuard, Miss Audrey Plaza.
Thank you, Ace. Thank you, Niño, for inviting me today. This is a very good opportunity, and thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor.
Absolutely. And it's a breath of fresh air to have a female guest at this point in time. Yes, and definitely another special guest is also joining us live from Hong Kong. Right? It's Mr. Donny Chong, the director for products at NexusGuard. Hi, Donny.
Hi guys. Hi. Thanks for having me here today.
All right, that's great. So, Ace, today we'll be talking about WAF. What are you saying?
Well, I thought it's the one that you have for breakfast.
What's this about? So, what are you trying to say?
Maybe it's about the thing that you have for breakfast.
I think that's waffle.
Oh, sorry.
That's a waffle. Yeah, but this is different, no? This is actually, it stands for Web Application Firewall.
Yes.
What that means, we'll find out from our guests.
Yes.
But definitely, yes, it's one of the new, I guess. Well, it's not new, but it's one of the more important facets of cybersecurity as of today, because we're seeing a lot of what we call website defacement.
Right.
Yes. That's what we're going to talk about today.
Right. Especially for
not waffles.
Not waffles, certainly. Especially for companies nowadays, websites are becoming very critical tools and even avenues for making business. And that, as part of our services, we would like to give you a bird's eye view of how it is and what's happening during an attack, and how we can prevent those attacks from happening within our websites.
What's happening?
Yes.
Enough of the puns. Okay. All right, so let's get right to it. All right. So, okay, so we have a few questions for you,
Sure.
Audrey and Donny. So, number one question: what is it? What is Web Application Firewall?
So,
what's it for?
Okay, a web application firewall, or WAF, we call it for short, is deployed between the internet and the web server. So it inspects and filters incoming and outgoing traffic of a customer. So once it's been configured with known malicious HTTP attacks, the WAF monitors and blocks those content and requests which are not within the predefined rule set. Okay. So a company's website or web application is very prone to outside malicious attacks, such as cross-site scripting or SQL injection. So without WAF, hackers can actually hack into the customer's website or web application and steal confidential and valuable information.
So is it like it's like a security outpost outside of a building, that inspects everyone that comes in and out, and something like that, no? It's like a
your security guard.
It's a toll gate. It's a security guard. Yeah. So okay. So that's very interesting. So they act like a filter, something like that.
Yes,
yeah?
exactly.
Okay.
Filter. Yes.
But how different is WAF from a regular firewall? Because I'm sure many of our listeners and viewers out there are wondering, I'm company A and I have an IT team and I already have a firewall, I have a router, and we think that it's already doing the protection that is needed. But what differentiates a WAF from regular firewall? And if I have an existing firewall, what do I do with it? Is it do I remove it, or do I use WAF instead? Perhaps our friend Donny can answer this question. Donny?
Oh, okay, well, that's a very common question. So, traditional firewalls, which most companies have nowadays, are actually packet filtering devices. So they operate at a network layer. So that's not to be confused with the web application firewall we are talking about. So the traditional firewalls, you can also call them as network layer firewalls. And these traditional firewalls basically acts as a control to control whether a computer within a network can talk to another computer within another network. Okay, and then to control to what extent these computers can talk. So for example, via what ports, okay, talk in what protocols and etc. So these traditional firewalls, they look like network layer and they don't really understand applications. And when they don't understand applications, they cannot really control and govern what can go in and out. So as opposed to WAF, okay, which is called Web Application Firewall, these application firewalls actually operate at the application layer or the layer 7 you hear about the OSI model. So this web application firewall is designed to look at these applications and specifically to protect your websites and your web portals from being attacked by attacks like Audrey mentioned earlier, hacking attacks like SQL injections, cross-site scripting. Okay, so basically what the WAF does is to look at XML, HTTP, and HTTPS requests, and then make sure that the attacks are actually denied, so that the attackers are not able to get into or get past your website into your servers and systems. Right. So these are two different kinds of firewall we're talking about.
So like if we describe it in a typical security setup, a WAF operates differently versus a typical hardware-based firewall in such a way that they protect different segments of transacting on a website, so to speak. Is that a good assessment, Donny?
Exactly. So a firewall, don't think that you can get a WAF and then can throw out your traditional firewall. So that's not going to happen. You make your network firewall, and then the WAF is just another layer of security, like what Niño just said. Okay, it's a very integral part of today's internet as well.
I see. Okay. Is this a cloud service? Is it something that people can subscribe to as a cloud-based service, or is it an appliance? How is it different from a regular firewall? I mean, the regular firewall is actually you can do put an appliance there, and you'd be able to run policies off of that already. Right. Is that the same case with WAF services?
Well, actually, Niño, you're very correct about that. Well, unlike a few years ago, WAF was only available through hardware, very traditional hardware. Okay. And cloud-based WAF was only available to very large enterprises.
Yes.
And so, like nowadays, NexusGuard, which is a cloud-based WAF provider, we have a 24/7 security operations center, which is situated in Hong Kong. Okay. And we actually monitor and fine-tune our system to protect our customers from evolving threats. Okay, since we are using only one platform, so threat detection is shared among all our customers, and therefore it is actually increasing the accuracy of threat detection and lowering the false positive rates.
Right, so it becomes more of a helping each other by making sure that when an attack on a customer happens, then all the other instances get protected as well. So yes, it's like having a vaccine for all of those people, and everybody gets protected when it comes to that type of virus or that type of attack or that type of threat.
Yes, correct. And I'd also like to mention, with our platform, our WAF is centrally managed by our security operations center, so which is different from the traditional firewall. Like the organization has to manage it themselves.
Right. Now there's real people behind that service.
Security experts at that, right?
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Correct.
Okay, well that's very interesting. Well, there have been I guess questions also about encryption and things like that. Because data traffic essentially travels through your cloud service. Right. So, I guess one question would be, let's say a website has encrypted traffic. Will it compromise that encrypted traffic, or in any way?
Will you inspect that encrypted information? Will you have visibility on that data?
Oh no, of course not. So, SSL is part and parcel of a lot of websites nowadays. Be it whether you are hosting private or non-private data. But SSL is actually a very critical part of WAF. So one of the SSL functionalities that we talk about very often in WAF is what we call the SSL offloading. So in fact, what WAF can do is to allow you to offload SSL encryption and decryption to the WAF. So that when that happens, your web servers that typically handle the encryption is now free. They have more computing power and more computing power to deal with normal website requests. and this allows the application and traffic to stay secure. At the same time, the WAF will also optimize the performance of a web service. So you get the best of both worlds. So your traffic is still secured by SSL. It's just that the WAF does most of the heavy lifting, and then they do the prevention of the attacks, and then they pass the traffic back to your backend via encrypted means as well.
So as an added question, since you are not let's say inspecting the encrypted traffic, so to speak, it has something to do also with the way you follow the regulation, ISO certification, and ISO rules like 27001.
Oh, so good question there. So of course, if you were to buy, obviously when you get a WAF, okay, you have a lot of considerations, and mainly that is to address the PCI compliance. So make sure that wherever you're buying the WAF or the cloud WAF from, you make sure they are a PCI compliant service provider. Make sure that they are also ISO certified, so that your data, whatever it is, passing through the cloud provider is secure. And make sure that they are compliant.
Okay.
Good tips. Okay, so talking about firewalls, does it work like a regular firewall in the sense that you can provision many policies, or is there a limited number of policies you can provision? Or how does it work?
So Niño, actually, you're correct. It's like a traditional firewall. The number of rule sets you can set is limitless. You can set as many rule sets as you want with our WAF
I can turn
services.
off all ports as much as I want.
You can disallow everyone from using the internet in your organization. no more torrents or
Yes.
in your office.
We'll all be more productive then.
Yes.
Exactly.
Well, it's a good thing now for all of those IT professionals. You can actually control the way you can access traffic with regards to your website, especially since sometimes, bad as it may seem, the intrusion happens internally. So with a WAF service that is protecting a different layer, hosted in a different platform, then you have a redundant area where only authorized people can actually tinker and configure. So you can have an extra layer of security. So
yes, that's right, and especially I guess a cloud-based WAF service allows for I guess scalability, right? And you don't have to worry about like upgrades or new versions and things like that. Yeah, so once you're subscribed, everything is upgraded automatically as needed. Okay, so
That's a very important point. Yeah, because WAF is like what Audrey mentioned. Okay, WAF, although we manage the service, being able to put in applicable and accurate rules to block out the attacks is actually very complex. So a typical WAF operator will need to understand the applications that they are protecting. Like you need to know what are the loopholes in your security before you can put in a good rule. So that's where service providers like NexusGuard will come in and help manage your rules and then create whatever rules that is necessary to keep your backyard secure, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, especially if you're using your website as a means to generate revenue,
Yes.
definitely it's something that everyone should consider. One other consideration, I guess, which would be important for websites that are generating revenue, is actually latency. So
Yes.
yeah, I mean, since it's a cloud service and data traffic is directed elsewhere before going to your site, and it's scrubbed elsewhere, so that essentially adds another hop.
Yep.
And there would be companies that would be, I guess, concerned about that. Although I would tell them that, hey, I mean, being downtime is worse than bad latency. I'd rather have my website up and slow rather than not up at all. So, but yeah, I mean, how can what are the advantages that a company would be able to merit from this?
So actually, Niño, that's a very valid question. Actually, that's one of the most asked questions that we get when I talk to customers. So it's like with any other cloud services out there, there is definitely an additional hop which traffic has to traverse to,
Mhm.
but that does not necessarily mean that there will be noticeable latency
Right.
or more loading time.
Uh-huh.
But rather with WAF providers like us,
Okay.
NexusGuard, we actually have that capability of acceleration and web caching, which in fact
Okay.
enhances user experience rather than degrading it.
Okay, that makes sense. So, I mean, it's I think caching is another facet
Yes.
of networking that definitely alleviates any
Right.
like concerns of latency, right?
So the most frequently used parts of the website gets cached in your
Yes.
system, so that
Correct.
when a person accesses it, it's already there and
Yes.
available.
Exactly.
That's a good feature actually, especially since if you have the instance locally, it
Mhm.
becomes a faster transaction,
Yeah.
then the latency is
Mhm.
much less.
Well, actually, it can be a one-stop shop for some customers.
Okay.
They can do WAF, they can do web acceleration as well.
Oh, okay. So they can depending on their use case. So if
Yes.
it's just a say a picture of an outing,
Static content, yes.
content. They went on outing elsewhere in Laguna, for example. They went on the hot spring versus a website where there's transactions or where there's video and all of that. It's good. You can vary depending on the use case.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
But I think a very good question is on the determination whether I, as a company owner or a business owner or a website administrator, would need my website to have a WAF service. What do you think?
So actually, any website with web application would need WAF protection. So web application is actually a client-server software application that uses web browsers as the main user interface.
Right, so-
So common web applications are web emails,
Right.
Online banking, instant messaging, Wikipedias. So those are the common ones.
Right, and you guys wouldn't want to have your website defaced by some unscrupulous person out
Definitely
there.
not. It will ruin your brand image.
And tarnish your services,
Yes.
your reputation, and give them a sense that, hey, this company does not really care about my security, and why should I engage business
Mhm.
with them? So it's really relevant to have such a WAF service. But in terms of security, and I want WAF,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Should I use two WAF services? There's always the saying that security depends on how you interpret security. So
Yes.
whether you are a house or the central bank, it will vary on how you want your service for
Mhm.
security to be. But in terms of WAF, do I need to use two WAF services?
Does that make any difference?
Yeah.
Actually, that's a very good question. So most of the companies right now, they already have a firewall and
Right.
it has some built-in WAF, right?
Mhm.
But with the NexusGuard services, you don't have to have two WAF services. In fact, we have customers who came on board on our WAF services. They just totally
Decommission.
disabled their firewalls WAF
Mm.
services.
Okay. So once you have that WAF service, it's you don't need to have like 2 or 3 or 4 of those to
No.
actually
Yes.
ensure the security.
Mhm.
Just adding latency to
Okay, that being said, okay, I mean, does it follow? I mean, if you have a WAF subscription, does it follow that? I mean, I will know my website will no longer be defaced. I won't be experiencing any of these. I guess changing of my web page will turn into this guy in a mask, right? The picture of this guy in a mask. So I mean, is it a guarantee that?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, when it comes to security, as you know, there is no 100%. But while WAF does a very good job at protecting your website, which is a very obvious and important window into your organization, the protection effort does not end there. Okay, through website is just one window, but there are still many ways an attacker can infiltrate your system. Such as via social engineering, okay, or maybe if Niño or Ace, your admin password is 1234. I'm not saying that's your password, but if anybody gets a password and log
P at SSW.
I log in as Ace, for example, and then an Ace has very good access to Niño's marketing, folder programs. We can actually get all the information. So social engineering is one thing. Then there are also the other aspects of physical hacking. For example, someone, I'm sure you watch movies, they come into your office, they plug in a keylogger into your PC, and then they get the information whatsoever. It's a very important and very crucial part of your overall security program. It cannot be overlooked, okay, but it is not an end-all. So as a security professional, there are also other things that you have to look at. Make sure that your information is secure, for example.
Okay, so it's not like the holy grail of security applications, but definitely does the trick as far as website defacement goes.
But what it does, okay, is to secure your website. Okay, so your website will require a WAF, just like your other database. You need a database security. So WAF is specifically designed for your website and web portal.
I see. Okay, but we're talking about website defacement. Is there any other hacking or type of attack that WAF can help alleviate or avoid?
Also, that is a very large question. So I will go into a lot of techno mumbo jumbo. Nobody will understand.
Oh, okay, okay.
But not to worry, there is a very good resource on the internet. Okay, it is www.owasp.org. So it basically is a non-profit website that actually helps the industry map out the top most common hacking attacks that is seen on the internet today. And then it goes on to describe the impacts of these attacks, the dangers, and then what can be done to actually help cover all these loopholes. And WAF is a very good way to do that. And a lot of the WAF rules, the rules, okay, that to actually prevent these attacks from happening are also taken from such websites. So check out the website. Okay, at your own free time, there's a lot of information there.
Okay, so it's not just website defacement that.
So website defacement is just an effect. So that's an effect of an attack. So what happens to allow the attacker get into your website? They rely on a lot of kinds of techniques, and those techniques are described in detail. And those are the WAF. Those are the attacks that WAF will actually prevent it from happening.
And as mentioned by Audrey a while ago, it becomes an evolving threat, so that with a cloud-based service, the protection evolves as well. So when a new threat comes in, then a new protection comes in, right?
Yes.
And in terms of deployment, say, I want to deploy a WAF service now. How long does it typically take?
So typically, a cloud WAF will only take 1 to 2 days for deployment. But for the first 2 weeks, we would usually put it on monitoring mode, so as to give time to fine-tune the system, as well as allow learning pattern for the user's behavior.
Okay.
So after 2 weeks, after we fine-tune the whole solution, then we turn on the protection mode.
Okay, so it's very fast instead of a hardware-based approach where you order it, wait for 30 to 45 days. You bother with customs clearance, which is about 15 to 30 days, and then it gets delivered, and because of the traffic, it takes another day to get delivered.
A few hours.
Right. So when it gets delivered, the model is obsolete.
So yeah, 1 to 2 days as compared to the traditional hardware of 30 days to 45 days.
Right. So
yeah.
very, very fast. And if I would defend the cost of WAF to the management, how do I present it to a non-tech person? Because of course, all of those watching and those are listening in and chiming in are very concerned about, hey, me as an IT tech person, I know that I need it, but the boss or the business owner, he's used to all those numbers. How do I explain it?
Well, for one, you could actually get the bosses to watch IPC ThinkOutCloud. So if they don't have the time to do so, so if they don't understand technology, so I think what is one common way to justify the cost is to present to them the impacts. Okay, if they do not get a WAF and protect their websites, what are the things that can happen? So mainly, I think we talked about this a few times. Audrey and yourself, we brought it up a few times. First is defacement. So let them know what defacement is. Okay, there's a lot of examples. So basically, what defacement is, tell your boss, is that an attacker or a disgruntled employee actually gets into your web service and he's able to modify your website, okay, and to post their own message. So it could be a hate message, I hate company XXX, or it could be a message or some information to discredit or to humiliate the company. Okay, and that kind of humiliation is something that money cannot buy. You build your trust and credibility over a year. Imagine a bank website showing that the first page is showing the information of your bank customers. So the reputation of this bank is down the drain, okay, and is irrecoverable. So that's just the light side of it. The more heavier or rather more impactful or catastrophic impact could be if the attacker goes into your website, to your database, and they steal your data. Right? For example, he steals your bank information, he steals your credit card information, and then he sells it to other hackers, and then there are actual financial losses. Okay, or maybe worse, they can just destroy all your data, your hard-earned data and information and financials whatsoever. All can be gone within a matter of seconds. Okay, just because they did not invest into the proper technology to protect your website as one of the windows. And it's not very expensive technology. Okay, we've come to a point in time where this is now very lightweight as well as affordable. And then of course, it's an outsourced security. So your team wouldn't be burdened with the responsibility to control all the rules. Okay, so we do the hard work instead of the customer.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the key message here should be like, why bother with all the nitty-gritty of the security and the back end of your application? Just outsource it to security experts, and let them take full responsibility for the protection of your website. And make sure that you just focus on your core business, whatever your business is, just focus on that, and let the experts handle it, right?
And security cannot wait. So.
I don't know. So I was totally agreeing with what Ace talked about. Security being important.
Okay, all right. Okay, so
it's always important, but sometimes in terms of budget, it's always the lowest priority.
That's the problem. That's the problem. Yeah.
Yes.
And then it's ironic that exactly. I mean, it's ironic that companies always ask about security when outsourcing things, but security is usually the last item on their budget. So there has to be a change of mindset at some point. And with how rampant attacks are going on right now, it's quite important for businesses to actually consider or start considering protection such as web application firewall and DDoS mitigation and things like that, right? So I don't know, do you have other questions that you'd like to ask our guests?
I think all of my questions as an IT person were answered already, actually. But we'd just like to send a message to our all those watching that in terms of security, it's high time for all of us to be open and aware that these things are very critical with our businesses, and with the help of our partners, rest assured that when it comes to discussions of security, these things will be regular topics of our webcast here.
For sure. I mean, one question would be if I need web application firewall services, where do I go? Who do I talk to? Definitely here in the Philippines, IPC is as a partner of NexusGuard, will be able to help you with your website security needs.
Right.
Just go to ipc.ph, you'll find out more there. Just come to the office and look for Ace or Niño or Audrey. And
I'm sure they look for Audrey.
They'll probably look for Audrey more than anyone. Yeah, you should. Yeah, well, definitely. This has been a great discussion with you, Donny, and Audrey. Thank you very much for taking the time out to join us today for this webcast. Any final messages from the two of you? Would you like to give the televiewers, the webcast viewers, Ellie, as a parting
Yes,
message.
okay.
Yes.
So actually, for the past a month or so, we have noticed an increase in WAF attacks and DDoS attacks from some country in Asia because Philippines won the South Philippine Sea ruling. And there is really an increase in number of attacks, and organizations are really picking this up.
Right.
And we, together with IPC, we are doing actually a lot of POCs right now. And so this is a real threat, and I hope that because of this experience, people will take this seriously rather than be proactive, rather than be passive and just wait for the attack to happen and
Yeah.
do something about it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the problem with some Filipinos. If it's not broke, why fix it, right? That's
Yes.
that's what we often hear. But why wait for it to get broken,
Right.
right? So let's protect ourselves. Okay, so yeah, Donny.
So before we leave, so I'd like to thank IBC for this opportunity. So I think it's great. IBC is taking this initiative to educate the market. So very important, like what Niño and Ace is saying, security should not be the last. So I think with the help of such channels, probably send a message out to IT professionals that digitalization should go hand in hand with security, not with security at the back of it. Okay, don't do it
Yeah.
when it's too late. Okay, do it together with your digitalization efforts. Thank you, IBC.
All right, that's great. So thank you very much, guys.
Thank
Donny, Audrey, and yeah, we'll see you in the next episode of Think Out Loud. Bye bye.
Bye.